What's up, everybody? I'm Dan Kornhauser,
I'm Bobby Hunt.
and thank you guys for tuning in as we continue our NFL draft preview on defense. We've done edge rushers, we've done defensive line, we've done linebackers, and now we get to the back seven. We get to the shutdown corners, the second highest paid players on the defensive side of the ball, and one of the most important positions in all of football, aside from quarterback, tackle, and edge rusher. We're talking about the cornerback position. And there are a lot of very talented corners available, guys who fit different schemes, different strengths. And for me, this is one of my favorite position groups in the whole draft, and one of my deepest positions in the draft, where I have 24 players rated, and all 24 are in my top 190 pick overall on my big board. And to give you a better scope, I've got 13 in my top 100. So that should give you an idea of what kind of talent's available. So if you need a cornerback, this is a good year to need one. And this team right here, needs at least one cornerback. And I think it's almost a for show that the Lions will be taking a corner. Hopefully at third, Jeffrey Okudah, who for the most part in most circles is considered the top rated corner in this year's draft, and pretty much a puzzle piece that fits into any puzzle. You can play a man corner, press off, you can play zone, and he does it all well. He's got prototype size. He's a good guy on and off the field. He's got everything you look for. For me, Jeff Okudah is my 5th overall rated prospect and my number 1 corner. Do you agree, Bob?
100% agree. He's definitely the number 1 corner in this draft by leaps and bounds, and going to come from the long lineage of Ohio State players to come out of that defensive backfield and contribute at the next level. We know Marshawn Lattimore's a top player with the Saints at corner. You also have Von Bell, who was a former teammate of his, safety with the Bengals now. You look at Malcolm Jenkins, who's had a great career at safety, another Ohio State product. Eli Apple, who's been a bust but was a first-round pick out of Ohio State, just to name a few.
Yeah, man.
But there's been a lot of other ones throughout their history, and Jeff Okudah is the next in line. Pretty much checks all the boxes. He has prototypical size that you look for in a shutdown corner. He's 6'1", about 200 pounds. He's got the long limbs. He's got the fluid hips to run with everyone, the change of direction speed. He's also active tackling. He's not afraid to mix it up in run coverage. He's not Deion Sanders, where he's going to Olay on any guy running at him, any big boys trying to take him head on. He will mix it up tackling. Again, he's not a big guy. He's not huge. So, yeah, in some run plays he's going to get blocked up. But really the only thing that I can nitpick on him is just he could be better against some bigger-bodied receivers. T. Higgins did a decent job against him in that CFP game. But other than that, I mean, he can really run with anyone. He really does not give up touchdowns or many completions. And he's just one of those guys who can be a lockdown player at the position. That's why he's probably going to go at number 3 to the Lions. And newsflash, everyone, Dan actually won't be upset with that at all. It's not like T.J. Hawkinson last year. He actually would love the Lions to take Jeff Okudah here. Now, granted, he would love to acquire more picks, maybe trade down, but Okudah is actually someone that Dan would be satisfied with the Lions taking.
You know, Bob, we were doing so fucking well. You know, we had done so many podcast recordings and so many videos, and we talked about so many different players and positions. It's really been something special. But you just had to mention fucking T.J. Hawkins. You had to.
It's a trigger for you. I'm sorry. But I had to say because people were going to be tuning into maybe this segment thinking, oh, we got to find out whether Dan approves of Jeff Okudah being the pick, and he actually does. Maybe I should have said that last name, that certain tight end from Iowa last year. But
you're saying too much. I just want to punch you in the eyeball. You're just saying so much. I fucking hate it.
Well, let's move on. All right. So Jeff Okudah, we're both in agreement. He's our number 1 corner. I actually have him 4th on my overall big board, right behind Isaiah Simmons and right ahead of Tua Tagovailoa.
Here's a question for you, Bob. Do you consider him more Denzel Ward, Marshawn Lattimore, or do you consider him more Eli Apple, Gary, and Conley?
Right. So those are some of the other Ohio State corners. And then did the dichotomy of some of the two that have done very well and exceeded, and two of the other ones that have been mostly disappointments. I definitely lean toward the former. I think he will be very productive right away and will be very difficult to throw on from day one. He's still going to struggle. I mean, some teams are going to pick on him because he's the new guy, and corner is arguably the hardest position to translate from college to the NFL, especially in year one. It's very difficult to do. Very few players can do it right away. Denzel Ward was actually one of them. What's interesting, though, is I don't think his game really compares a lot to them. I think he'll be productive like them, so from that standpoint. But when I look at him, some people say Stephon Gilmore, currently with the Patriots. I do see some similarities. But to me, it kind of reminds me of Champ Bailey a little bit. I mean, that's lofty praise. I don't necessarily know if he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer like a Champ Bailey, but he kind of reminds me of him, kind of the playing style, the size, and I don't think he's going to be as dynamic. I don't think he's going to be able to maybe do any kind of returning or anything, so he doesn't add an extra element there that some Ohio State products have been able to do. But you take Jeff Okudah in the top 5 and you feel great about it. You have no concerns because lockdown corner is one of those premium positions that is worth a selection in that top 5, even with this loaded draft class.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, if you want to watch some Jeff Okudah tape, all you're going to see is a shutdown corner, and team's not really fucking testing him because he plays sticky in man coverage. He can run stride for stride with damn near anybody in the nation. And yeah, he might have had some issues in the college football playoff, but you let some shit slide. Nobody's perfect. But I have him as my 5th overall prospect, my top corner. I would love Detroit to take him 3rd overall. If the Lions don't take him 3rd overall, that's fine. There's a lot of good corners available in the 2nd round that I'd be more than happy taking there as well. But Okudah would definitely make me happy, and that's a very different when it comes to the Lions drafting, as Bob alluded to before. But this draft class has got a lot more than Jeff Okudah, okay? Let's talk about C.J. Henderson, my fucking boy, okay? Florida Gator, 6'1", 204. He's my 2nd corner and my 13th overall prospect. Now, there's been some rumblings, some rumors on the Twitter sphere, okay, that some NFL teams prefer Henderson to Okudah, saying that Henderson is the better man-to-man press corner, which is fair to say. Again, as a Gators fan, I watch every game, and as a draft fiend and analyst, I also like to watch these guys and see how they perform technically and stuff like that with an eye towards the NFL draft. So I know we were talking about Greenard before for edge rushers, about one of my favorite guys, and I don't really talk well about my Florida boys, but C.J. Henderson is a fucking beast. I think his ceiling draft position wise is Jacksonville. I think his floor is Atlanta, and I wouldn't be surprised if somebody traded up for him if he falls outside of the top like 10 or 12. I think he's that good. I think if Jeff Okudah is number 1A, C.J. Henderson is 1B. I don't put them on the same pedestal quite so much because Henderson doesn't really like to tackle. That's my biggest beef with him, is when a lot of corners don't like to tackle. That's not really their thing. But like Bob mentioned, Jeff Okudah doesn't mind mixing it up. He's not he's not going to stick you or anything like that. But for me, the only question I have about Okudah was how he did at the combine. I thought his 40 would be better and stuff like that, but the tape is immaculate. Other than that, I have no issues with Okudah. With Henderson, damn near the same talent in terms of skill set and size, speed, etc. The man can't tackle, and he's not as physical as you'd like him to be. So those are my only concerns with C.J. Henderson, but he's still damn near a perfect prospect at corner. He just got to tackle, man.
That's one of the things that he could be better at, and also compared to Okudah, I just don't see as much consistent technique. And like when Okudah gets beat, it's because the receiver did a great job, or he's matching up against T. Higgins or Jerry Jeudy, and they just beat him. It's the axiom of, say, like in basketball, where great defense, better offense.
Well, yeah,
similar in that way.
Exactly. Like, not to cut you off, but I was looking when I was watching some tape on Okudah. I was watching the Wisconsin game. and there was a pass. I don't remember who the receiver for Wisconsin was, but they ran a real nice route. They ran a real good route, and they burned Okudah, and it should have been a touchdown. But I think I don't know which safety it was, but I think one of the safeties came up and it made a play on it in the end zone. But yeah, with Okudah, you're right. It's one of those. If he gets beat, congratulations to the receiver because you did something real nice.
But it probably won't happen again. Is basically where it comes down to. And so Okudah, we're talking about something like a placement along the draft. Okudah really is not going to fall far at all. I think the Lions are either going to take him at 3 or going to trade back and get him. I don't see him falling past, say, like the 6th pick. And that's more so just because of where the Lions could be. I think he's going to go there. It's just a matter of what draft slot Okudah is going to be at. And then when you look at C.J. Henderson, a lot of buzz about the Falcons loving him and some other teams that I could see, yeah, if they play more press man coverage and they like that aspect of his game more, they might value him more than other teams. And right now there's draft odds of him being 16 and a half, basically over under that spot in the draft. Based on all the rumors we're hearing, it seems like it's a lock to be under that he's going to be a top 15 pick.
He absolutely should be. And like I said, I have him at number 13 overall, so that's right in that range. But this, like I said earlier, this isn't just a 2-man class. Now, I only have 2 first-round grades on corners, and that's these 2 guys. But there is a very large, talented group of players who I see in the 2nd and 3rd rounds. Again, if the Lions don't take Okudah, I mean, I'll be a little upset, but it's fine. Because if Lions end up with one of these other 10 guys, that's a fucking win. And I'm talking about guys like Trayvon Diggs, Kristen Fulton, who I mentioned earlier in an earlier recording when we were talking about linebackers. I think Bob asked a question about how many LSU players would be first-round picks. So Kristen Fulton, AJ Terrell, Jeff Gladney, who from TCU, who's getting a shit ton of love late in the process, potential first-round pick from rumors and whatnot. Jalen Johnson from Utah, Damon Arnett from Ohio State, Cam Dantzler from Mississippi State, Amik Robertson from Louisiana Tech, who's one of my favorite guys, Bryce Hall from Virginia, Noah Igbonagihi from Auburn.
I don't know. I've been looking up the pronunciation of some of these players, and Igbenegene, I think that's how you pronounce it, but I can't say with 100% confidence. Some other players I know I nailed, but to him, he's got a difficult name.
We're just going to call him Noah.
Let's go with Noah. Noah I from Auburn.
Yeah, we're going to go Noah Iggy. Okay, so Noah Iggy from Auburn.
Yeah, well, let's throw it back a little bit. Top 5. Who's your top 5 corners in this draft? We both have Okudah and Henderson 1, 2, but I think, I also think of when we see scrolls on NFL Network or ESPN, they usually do their top 5 at each position, so you get an idea of how they rank these players. This is a position where it's very loaded, as we talked about, and there's definitely some discussion about who those guys at 3, 4, 5 are. So who's yours?
When we did our offensive preview, we talked about offensive tackles, and we said there's, the top 4 offensive tackles are the top 4 offensive tackles. That's top 5. However, if you talk to 5 different people, you will get 5 different orders of those players. Okay, and I think that's what corner is. I think this corner spot there's a lot of talent, but a lot of these guys are scheme specific. And if we talk to 10 people, there would be 10 different top 5s. For me, I have Trayvon Diggs at number 3, 28 overall on my big board. I have Kristen Fulton at number 4, 31 overall on my big board. And I have AJ Terrell at number 5 from Clemson at number 34 overall on my big board. But I don't want to get it twisted. I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more corners in my top 53 overall. So between like 28 and 53, I've got 7 guys, 8 guys. So it's going to be what's your flavor, more or less. But I got Diggs, Fulton, and Terrell.
Okay, that's fair. Mine is somewhat similar. I have actually flip-flop of Diggs and Fulton. I have Diggs 4 and I have Fulton 3. Fulton's 27 on my big board, Diggs 31. And then I have Jeff Gladney, number 36 overall. So he slides in as my 5th corner. And then I have AJ Terrell right behind him at 6. But we're also going to see a lot of corners come off the board in the 2nd round. That's really where we're going to see a lot of them. And along with wide receiver and tackle, this is the deepest position. Wide receiver, tackle, and corner, those are the top 3 position groups, in my opinion, and I think by most draftniks' opinion. That's how most people feel. That's where this draft really has its bread and butter. That's where it's really deep, and you also have some elite talent at the top too.
Yeah, dude. That's why this is one of my favorite position groups in the whole draft. Maybe my number 1 favorite position group of this whole draft is because the talent is so diverse and it's such a wide range. It's not just upper echelon guys and then a huge drop off like for you at the linebacker position. For you, it's 2 or 3 guys, 4 guys, and after that top 4, it's a huge drop off. So we don't have those problems here. My thing is the reason Diggs, Fulton, et cetera, don't have first-round grades is because their games are very incomplete and they are not extreme, but they are very much scheme-specific. Some of these guys have issues where they're too handsy in man coverage, where in college it doesn't get called for a foul, but goddamn well in the NFL they call fucking everything pass interference. Can't touch nobody. Some of these guys are going to be in a lot of trouble. Christian Fulton stood out as someone who gets burned often, and it's bad. When Fulton gets burned, it's bad. When Okudah gets burned, it's because the receiver ran a damn fine route or something crazy like that. But he has a recovery speed to make up for it in most cases, and he doesn't really make those mistakes. Same thing with C.J. Henderson. But Fulton, though, when Fulton gets burned, he's got some ugly fucking tape, dude. He's got some bad tape. Just Clemson. Oh my God! Don't watch the Clemson tape. If you want to watch a Fulton game, and you're like, oh man, I want to see him against top competition, put something else on. Okay, don't put the Clemson table on because it's really fucking bad. Like he looks really bad. I know part of it is the talent. Clemson's stacked with NFL talent all over the place at the skill positions, and they got the next Peyton Manning and Lawrence who can do whatever the fuck he wants at quarterback. But it's bad. It's so bad. But that doesn't mean he's a bad player. Everyone's got bad tape. It happens, especially at corner. Corners get burned. It happens to the best of them. But these guys are scheme specific. The one player I'm surprised about that's getting some love though is Gladney. Partially because he doesn't have that prototype size that you look for. He is only 5'10", 191, which out of all my top corners is both the shortest and the lightest, aside from Cam Dantzler. But even Dantzler is 6'2", 188, which is what he measured at the combine. I've heard Gladney as a potential first-round pick and possibly the 3rd corner off the board in the 1st round. It's a little rich for me. I don't know how I really feel about that.
Well, you feel
because he's short.
Foolish is what it sounds like. And I agree. I like Gladney more than you, but I don't think he deserves to be in the 1st round by any stretch of the imagination.
He's good, man. Like he can run with receivers. He can run the route tree. He's good in man coverage. He's equally good in zone coverage. He's got good speed. He ran a 4.48 40-yard dash. So these are all positives, but he's short, which is a problem because a lot of these wide receivers in the NFL are going to go up and get it, and that's a problem. He's struggled with big receivers, and we're not talking about NFL caliber receivers. We're just talking about big guys, 6'3", 6'4". Yeah, you say, oh, no shit, Dan. He's 5'10". What do you want him to do with someone who's got 5 or 6 inches on him? I get it. But there's guys who are 5'10" in the NFL, like Harris from the Broncos. He left as a free agent, but
right, he's with the Chargers now.
Chris Harris, Chargers, right. So, like him, he's little. Doesn't fucking matter, okay? Because he can cover those big receivers, and it's fine. But Gladney gets pushed around too much, and I'm not a fan. And there are questions about him off the field as well, which I think could affect him. Is he just a slot corner, which is a starting position in today's NFL? But if he's just a slot, that lowers his value. I'm very iffy on him, but he's one of those intriguing names where I want to see, is he really going to be the 3rd corner off the board? And if he is, Is it going to be like a very scheme specific team? Is it going to be a team that plays a lot of off man coverage, or is it a team that needs that nickel corner kind of a thing? So I'm interested to see where he goes. I currently have him with a second round grade, number 41 overall.
Okay, that's fair. So it's very close to mine. I have him at 36. I have, similar to you, I have 14 corners in my top 99, so pretty much my top 100. I only went to 100. Maybe give people one of your later round guys, maybe someone that you think is a little further down than some of the people we've been talking about. That could be a steal maybe on day 2 in round 3 or day 3 on Saturday. Maybe someone that people don't know a lot about.
Darnay Holmes, corner from UCLA. Um, he's another one, short, 5'10", 195. I have him at number 101 overall on my big board, and he's my 13th overall cornerback, right behind Bryce Hall and right in front of Reggie Robinson from Tulsa. But, dude, when you're talking about a guy like Darnay Holmes, this is a former 5-star high school athlete, and that's what he is. He's an above-average athlete. He's good in both man and zone. He has the ability to also run the route tree and good mirror ability to follow guys along their routes. He doesn't really bite too much on double moves or anything like that. But with him, my issue is also similar to Gladney. He is small. He is light. He's not that fast. And if you have him impressed for whatever reason against a bigger guy and he doesn't get inside that guy and knock him off his route, he's getting beat. He's getting bumped off. He's getting beat off the line, and it's that simple. I also question his hands because he's another one. Like just it's a thing in college. I get it. You know, you're young, you're underdeveloped. You're getting better. I get it. You're relying on your athleticism to make up for the mistakes that you might make and stuff like that. Cool. But when you do that, you run the risk of being too handsy and being called for pass interference. In college, they don't get called that much, but in the NFL, they will get called. So that's my concern with him. But that aside, the pedigree aside, he played in the Senior Bowl. He looked damn good all week in practice, was extremely competitive. I think his Senior Bowl performance is more of what he can be rather than what he's done in college. But he's one of my guys. Like I said, I have him at number 101, which is good for, I want to say, a third round grade on him. Let me just double check my chart here.
It's slightly outside of it because usually the top 100 is 3 rounds.
Well, no, for me, since I don't have 32 first round grades, I'll have, like 40 second rounders or something like that. It works itself out. But I have him as a third round grade currently on my draft chart and on my big board. But he's one of those names that stands out. Darnay Holmes, UCLA.
All right, great. Before we wrap it up, I'm just going to throw 2 guys out there. Bryce Hall and Jalen Johnson, both senior corners who dealt with some injury issues over the last few years. Bryce Hall with an ankle injury, Jalen Johnson with a torn labrum that he had surgery on a few months ago. So Bryce Hall coming from Virginia, Jalen Johnson from Utah, experienced corners. They're both seniors. They're not juniors or redshirt sophomores like a lot of these other corners, but they could be steals. Now, the problem is those medicals, of course. It's going to push them down a little bit, but they both have the ball skills requisite at the next level, and they both have the size, 6 foot or 6'1", some good length, ability to run with receivers. Now, they're different. Bryce Hall probably better for zone coverage, whereas Jalen Johnson, to me at least, could play more man and press coverage. But I think both these players are guys that are going to slide down a little bit because of those medical history concerns, but could very well be steals, particularly in, say, that 3rd or 4th round range. And Jalen Johnson, honestly, could go in the 2nd, but I think 3rd. I'm being a little cautious with where I project him to wind up going. They're very close on my rankings. But I'm much higher on Bryce Hall than you. I have him at 71, actually. And then I have Jalen Johnson at 82 on my overall big board.
Yeah, and I'm higher on Johnson than you are. I got Johnson at number 46 on my big board. So I got a 2nd round grade on Johnson. I got a 3rd round grade on Hall at number 90 overall. But that just goes to show you where the difference lies in this class. Where Bob has Johnson, in the 70s and stuff, and the 80s, and so I got him at number 46. I got him right in the middle of the second round, and then vice versa. He's got Hole in the 70s. I got Hole at 90. So it's that's the difference, and everyone's going to have their own flavors. So, just because we have these guys ranked a certain way doesn't necessarily mean that's indicative of their talent or their potential or nothing like that. It's just everybody's different. Everybody sees different things.
And particularly for those two, with everything going on with COVID-19, we just don't know how much their medicals have checked out, if everything's in order, if every team feels comfortable taking them. They can certainly see the tape, but they know they're coming off injuries during the college season. And in the case of Johnson, he had labrum surgery. Now, granted, it's not a leg injury, so it's a little less concerning, but still, when you're going to invest a lot of money in these guys, granted, they're probably going to be second or third round picks, but those are still picks you expect to hit on. You're not going to really call a second round pick a bust, but it does definitely hurt, and we've seen it when you whiff on second-round picks. It does not help at all. It's not as detrimental as whiffing on a first-rounder, but you still expect a second-rounder to, at the very least, be a solid starter, without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. It's a waste of a pick at that point. Like you said, you don't call second-rounders bust, but goddamn it, they better be useful.
Yeah, definitely, and there's going to be a lot of useful ones at this position.
Well, unless you got something else you want to throw in with the corners, I think that just about wraps it up with these guys.
Puts a nice little bow on it. I think it's perfect.
Yeah.
So you're going to see a lot of corners come off the board. Expect them, especially in the second round, I would say.
Yeah, man. There's going to be a run at the end of the first round, early second. Expect that run, and it's going to happen, and it's going to be awesome. But until then, I'm Dan Kornhauser.
And I am Bobby Hunt.
And be sure to stay tuned. Catch our next episode where we cover the safeties in this draft class in detail. We'll break it down as only we can, which will be the final position group in our defensive rankings for the 2020, the Roaring 20s NFL Draft. We look forward to seeing you guys there. Catch you later.